I don't know if the spaghettification of your molecules would
hurt or not.
necessarily be lethal, but it could be.
I just read an article. They said the supermassive black holes, like, might be able to be traversed safely because they're so big.
You got to create a wormhole, man. Just open the Stargate. Just open the Stargate, man.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only.
I'm just looking.
Coming to you alive through the power of the interwebs. Inside the Green Room studio from the flagship source of the Earth Mix Garden Products Network, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates, bringing you all the wisdom and wit you'll ever need to tackle your garden and your projects. Now broadcasting alive from Bates Nursery and Garden Center at 3810 Whites Creek Pike, just 1 mile north of exit 19 off Briley Parkway. Or 0.9 miles as the Josh drives. Here's Josh Cary and David Bates.
Oh, yeah, everybody knows that what that music means. It's now time to climb a tree, don your loincloth, and survey the backyard, because you've got to find the project. You've got to lay it in the unmarked grave of history. Welcome in, everybody. It is the At Home Show. I'm Josh Cary.
And I am David Bates.
Yes, we have the entire audio-visual crew cranking up here from the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Oh, what a blustery day we have in store for us, David Bates.
Yes, it doesn't look like it's going to be the most wonderful of days, but it's the day we have. And we're starting off with some, depending on where you live, a mixture of rain/snow showers around the area. Mm-hmm. It is just above freezing, so at least that's the way it is in Nashville. Michael, you chime in here. It was pretty
traffic was at
conditions coming in for you, right?
It was. I come down from Springfield, and the traffic on 24 South, which is normally the way I go to get down here, was at a complete standstill. Not the slow crawl of anything. It was just stopped. There was cars that had slid off the side of the road. It wasn't the most fun drive down. But as I went further south, when I got south of Jolton, the roads cleared up pretty good.
Most part, that's what you're going to find in Davidson County. I just looked at the maps around town, and really is no sign in Davidson County of any precip that's adhering to the pavement or to the grass. Currently, it's 34 degrees here in Music City, and we've got a day that's going to have some breeziness and cooler temperatures. So, as for outdoor projects purposes, it's likely a planning day for indoor. Hey, there's still all manner of things you can do. Sunday, tomorrow, looks a bit better. Morning clouds and then some sun in the afternoon. High of 45 on Monday. Same temperature, still partly cloudy, 45. A little warmer on Tuesday, 53, 30 for the low, but mostly cloudy conditions, and 50 degrees still and partly cloudy on Wednesday. We have showers moving in towards the end of the week. Both on Thursday and Friday as it's currently predicted, which almost means nothing.
Sure it does.
Because it's a week away. It means something. It gives us something to talk about. But again, currently here in the Music City, it is 34 degrees here on the At Home Show, broadcasting from Bates Nursery and Garden Center from the Green Room.
Now, did you get your homework assignment done by addressing the magnetron this week, David? Because you are not physically, again, you can teleport in here at any point in time, but if the magnetron has not had the little workaround fix that we had talked about, I don't know. It might be time to take a name or something, man.
Michael was discussing with me before the show this collision of black holes and the gravitational waves resulting of that.
Is that what caused the problem?
Well, it's all we can figure. We did hear the audible blip as it came across, so it looks like that's again preventing my from physically being there. But gonna spend another week working on it. Maybe we were just nanoseconds away this week.
No,
so
you could
it just didn't work out.
Start climbing the Jeffries tube now, okay? And by next Saturday morning, you should be able to be over there. Okay.
Well, it's theoretically possible.
Anything's possible.
Actually, I think it's possible I could get there before this show if I had planned ahead. I mean, I should be able to time shift, but again, we're just nanoseconds all.
Well, okay, but nanos are nanos. 615-499-6690. If you want to reach us and ask a question, you can reach out at the Facebook page. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, there's this new rule coming up on the old book. You're going to have to follow the at-home show to continue to get some notifications, it seems. So in your spare time, while you're sitting there watching it, hit that follow button. And if you have other favorite pages that you do, and I can't imagine why anyone would not have us at the very top of their list, David Bates.
Nor can I.
But hit that follow button.
There could be some reason, I'm sure, extenuating circumstances, whatever the case may be. But I would venture to guess that there's no real reason. No.
Well, and that number I gave you, 615-499-6690, will go to Michael's secret bat phone.
Yep.
And he will get you can text that number. You can ask your question. You can call in, leave a voicemail. If you want to participate in the program alive, like we do every Saturday morning.
Yeah, we'd love to have you share your viewing out there on the web. Share it to your friends. If you happen to be watching us on YouTube, you can share us there additionally.
And flip it up there to the big screen in the living room, because we got David on. David is on at least 3 monitors that I'm looking at right now, and it's amazing.
Well, strangely for me, I have you guys on 0. I have no video feed for you guys at all. So
that must have been that blip, that gravitational blip.
Hold on, David.
No, it was not a gravitational
There
blip.
we go. Thank you, Tyler.
You're very welcome.
And by the way, we want to see the Tyler cam, a new feature we've got added in this week. Come on, Tyler. There he is. Good morning.
I'm here.
Give us a big bozo wave this morning.
He's automatically made himself cooler than a Nora because he's willing to get on the mic and the camera.
Yeah, there's been a lot of action this week on that.
We're not going to go there.
I'm not dissing her. I'm just saying he's a little bit cooler at this point now.
Well, I mean, he's more willing to go on the air, and we appreciate Tyler's tireless services through the week. He's been doing a lot of work and research on how to make all of our components function together seamlessly. And of course, per usual, we were right down to the wire this week. We had to do a restart. And it wouldn't be right if it were otherwise.
If he fixed the daggone magnetron, everything would be fine, David. Come on now.
That may be true. That may be true, but I think it's worth. And there may be those out there who are interested in how we've been able to cobble all of this together to create this illusion of professionalism that we're all struggle with. It's been largely a process of discovery. We've invested in some pieces of hardware and, of course, some software. But
special high-intensity training has been a key.
It is, and with the expertise of Michael and Tyler both, it has made all of these things possible. And but I think we have finally
hit on a combination that works.
We've hit on a combination that will work, and also allow us. And Tyler, you tell me if I'm wrong. It'll allow us also to be able to stream our guests in via Zoom and have them in a windowed box like you and I both are this morning.
Yep. That's the goal. I mean, we've got we've got the ability now.
But it all hinges on the magnetron, dagnabbit.
Mainly the magnetron.
Well, what we're trying to do is have our guests, which Tyler and I effectively are. I guess that's you're actually connected directly to the board through the Mevo Start. Am I correct on that?
No, I'm actually using a USB webcam.
Okay,
and 2 sound cards this morning, by the way, too.
Yeah, we're using the separate channels of the soundboard.
Ooh, touch us,
host
touch
everything.
us. We're
But
special.
we're all going through one place, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Well,
righty.
I'll have to wind up in one spot, but anyway, if you guys got any questions about how it is we were able to pull this off, feel free to reach out to us 615-499-6690. We are largely a landscape and home improvement show. I'm sure video productions could be part of your home improvement. However, it might be something more along. It might be more along the lines of what Josh took on this week. You had a project that you oversaw at your house, did you not, Josh?
Well, I was the assistant project manager on this. But Tyler, could you go to input 2, and we'll see some visual evidence of what was going on at the proving grounds. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you will look at the exhibits that are there on the
the TV. Someone mute the TV.
yeah, mute the TV.
Yeah, you go hit that mute button. I can hear it.
Tyler, we all do it, Tyler. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. We've all had our shot at it, and we've all been successful in
leaving it on.
You hear that muffled noise in your headphones, and you're like, what's
Okay.
that?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what you are seeing there is a view of a tree line. It's quite spectacular, isn't it? Now, if you'll notice the proximity to the main complex there at the proving grounds,
Looks like a lot of owls' nests in there.
yeah, well, those are squirrel nests. And by the way, you see the two beautiful beasties from the household. They're guarding the perimeter greatly, great, and did a great job.
They look vicious.
They savage, David. I mean, anything below your knees, it's fair game for them.
Canine velociraptors.
Yes, they are. Now, you'll notice that there is a certain, and I tried to get as plumb as I possibly could. You'll notice that there is a certain tilt to those trees, or a lean, a predominant growth pattern that you can see there in the before
Sun
picture.
would be that way, I would believe, correct?
In certain times of the year, that it would be the western face, so that's probably what's pulling them there. Now, as you can see in the before, that there, and the one to the left of the screen there is a view from the portal, the hatch that I access the Jeffries tube through this. That particular tree there was kind of getting a little sketchy, so we brought in the services of an arborist, and the after picture, we'll go first here. You'll see that they cleaned them up nicely, and hauled away all the stuff too. Now the predominant tree that was to the one that was of primary concern, it's nice now. Okay, now what it's going to do is it's opened up the yard, obviously, David. So I mean, I think we've got some things. I'll have to do something with the tree line, because the project manager has already told me that we're going to have to improve the view there and gain a little bit more privacy, because the arborists, while they were doing that to get to where they could climb the trees, they took out a little dab of the undergrowth that was the good old privet that I had been able to kill, and a couple of old little trash trees that go along with it. But the frass will certainly be a little bit lessened at the proving grounds, because those are hackberries.
The regrowth.
Yeah, go ahead.
The regrowth from below will likely recover pretty quickly. Now, I'm curious. You got rid of the long arching limbs and the major threat of something breaking off and doing damage on your side. Do you have concerns, or does the management committee have concerns about the overall aesthetics of only having selectively pruned a few of these major branches and not having pruned more of them?
Well, it came down to more of the financial committee. And
I understand that, because hiring the services of a competent arborist are not inexpensive.
No, but that property, the direct perimeter there, is actually inside an old abandoned Town of Smyrna alley. And
so it's not actually on your property, but the limbs were hanging over your property.
So
correct?
preventatively speaking, we took out what was on our side, and
you're I don't know about all jurisdictions, but as a general rule, it's about the airspace, and you can safely prune over your side of the property line.
I did anyway, so
Well,
it is what it is.
it's the forgiveness permission rule, right?
I know people in town, so I mean, I think we'll probably be okay, because there was one very, very large hackberry that several years ago. I mean, this tree was probably a good 24 inches in diameter. That just decided in one afternoon summer thunder shower to decide to split, and the city officials were forced to hire a different kind of tree cutter to come in and remove it. Now
let me ask you: when that tree split, was it solid all the way down, or was it hollow in the center?
it was solid. I mean, that was what the big surprise was.
About what was the diameter of that tree?
Every bit of 24. I am 20 to 24 inches. And again, it was
Well,
very unusual for a hackberry.
In the neighborhood where I live, it's, there's a lot of really large hackberries, and they're mostly in rows simply because they are the ones that were of the farm originally. They were fence rows, and they came up in it, and they simply removed the fence over the years, and the trees remain. However, unfortunately, a lot of these hackberries now, 120 years or so on, are starting to show, age signs, and a lot of them are having to be taken out because although they might look okay, if any of them that break out, you see that they're oftentimes are completely hollow in the center, but maybe a 2 or 3 inch strip on the outside. So they're very susceptible to wind damage, and it's something that people need to be mindful of. So, if you don't do like what you did and remove those limbs that can become problematic, the problem could even be worse than what just a simple limb. It could be the whole tree coming over.
Now, this image here, this is from the portal. This is the cleaned up view, and we'll make it a little bit bigger. Now, what that has also done is that there was a nice little microclimate for Mr. Wu, my Tamukiyama Japanese maple, down there in the feng shui garden that we have.
The direction we're looking, Josh, is what? Is that west?
That's basically east.
So we're looking to the east.
Yes.
So Mr. Wu is on the west side of that tree line.
Correct. Yes.
So he's already the only shade that Japanese maple, which is what Josh calls this particular Japanese maple. For those who don't know,
Wusan. Yes.
It's only getting shade from the physical structure of the house itself.
Well, and up until that point in time, there was a canopy over the top and several other things that went along with it. Depending upon the time of the year, about the August is when it really starts to get scorched a little bit and brings it up to to that level where he suffers a little bit with the sun.
You may see more heat stress, particularly during the latter summer months, until you have a little bit of that canopy regrow in there, simply because it's going to be exposed to a couple more hours of sunlight than it has been in the past. It's not going to kill the tree, but it will make it look bad. It'll get tattered looking quicker and perhaps more severely than it has in the past.
Okay, well, you can see that they saved the squirrel's nest up here at the top as well, because that was a major concern that we didn't want to detract from the wildlife.
Well, Save Our Squirrels campaign, or SOS, it's widely, although there are those of
they can't make that leap. Now that would be a super squirrel to be able to make that leap to the roof now, by the way.
You might have a sugar glider up there. You don't know.
Don't tell a squirrel he can't do it.
We actually do have flyers. We do have flying squirrels in the neighborhood. We've seen them. So.
They don't actually fly though. They fall gracefully.
Glide.
Yeah, gravity's hard to beat.
Yeah,
we understand that because of the magnetron there at the home office. It's still under that gravity. Would it be a well? Have we determined if it's a gravity well that's going with that, or just a?
Nah, that's just what's inside your head.
That's true. All righty, folks. 615-499-6690. We do want to thank American Tree. They were the pricing, while it is not something that you ever want to give up, you can't take it with you. The major.
Well, nobody ever gets the warm fuzzies about that, but you do indeed. We had a very large, at least 120-year-old sugar maple taken down at our house a couple of years ago, and as a result of that, it was slowly dying. It was dying that that steady
Painful.
but sure death. And this tree was probably closer to 30 inches in diameter.
Wow!
So it had it fallen and it was directly beside the house, it would have done a huge amount of damage. So it's at some point, you kind of have to make the logical decision, despite the fact that emotionally and from an attachment standpoint, you don't want to have to do it. Mm-hmm. But when you take the services of a qualified arborist and get their counsel involved with it, because if you're dealing with a good arborist, many of them are going to try to offer you options to save the tree, and obviously that's what you've been able to do. You had to remove some limbs, but you're still giving yourself all the advantages that tree provides: shade, and of course the main function that trees and all things growing, they help clean the air. That's what our plants do for us.
Yep. Now, David and the team here, look at this area here that's in the ground on the opposite side of the fence, outside the fence.
Okay, now try to zoom it in just a bit more for me, Josh. There you go. That helps.
This area here is, and again, it runs at about a 45-degree angle all the way to the street. What do you think I'm going to need to put in there? Now,
a hurricane fence.
That would be a privacy fence, but no, we wouldn't want to do that. I'm thinking, I don't know, roadies?
Okay, are you now? I mean, those might look nice. Mm-hmm. And if you could get them to survive, rhododendron are really difficult.
Okay.
And we sell them. A lot of other places sell them around. We don't sell them as a warranted plant. They're so difficult to control.
Okay.
So what that means is that they're very persnickety. And
I hate a persnickety tree, man.
Well, and because of that, they need to be in just the right spot. If you planted a row of them there, your odds of getting all of them to survive and do well are not very good. So I would suggest something that perhaps more like a laurel, like an English laurel or a skip laurel.
A skip and buffy? Oh, wow.
A skip, something, if you're looking to create a visual break or an actual screen, you can do that with any of those plants. Even viburnums such as that are going to be able to handle the shade sufficiently well enough. If it's really dense shade, you might go with something such as a cuba, which is has a variegated foliage on it. The problem with that is that they are subject to freeze damage. When we have colder winters, they don't usually get killed out, but they can get killed back to the ground level. They do recover quickly, however. So I don't discount those as a viable option if you like that color, and it does give you some brightness into an otherwise dark area where you may not be able to have anything that flowers reliably just due to the amount of shade that it gets. Now, if I recall, we're looking to the west on this spot, correct?
Generally speaking, yes.
We're looking to the west.
We're actually
to the east. We're looking from the west.
The
sun comes up that way, right?
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Okay. Well, so it's going to get sun all afternoon. What you get there,
correct?
All right. So you're wide open. As a matter of fact, a cuba is probably not a good choice if it's getting that much, but viburnums or your laurels will all be will all do well in a spot like that. And you probably even get enough light there for the viburnums to flower reasonably well and give you good coverage.
Well,
a lot of the viburnums you'll put out there are either outright deciduous or semi-broadleaf at best. So, but even at that, even with a densely stemmed plant in the wintertime, it will still give you that visual break and help you to be able to remove the unsightly nature of whatever's on the other side of it.
Well, it's actually, again, you can see where the houses back up to each other. So, I mean, we're looking at our neighbor's yard across the way, so it's not horrible at all. But sometime you had mentioned that these hackberries had shown up in a fence row. Ironically, that was where an old barbed wire fence was on one side of the alleyway, and then the other side had another one.
There's no irony there. That's just what they do.
Well, and I've been fighting privet quite badly since we moved into the proving grounds there.
And that's what they do.
Yes, and we will also, there was at some point in time, someone thought it was a really good idea on the other side of the alleyway to put in periwinkle and not maintain it. So you know what that looks like. So it's been a long haul. But but folks, if you're out there, to take that in mind and go ahead and you got to keep this in mind, because it's one of those things that will start to sneak up on you, and when you don't want to have that tree go over and then make an unannounced appearance in a bedroom somewhere. So keep them rolling.
Well, anytime you're thinking about planting, there's always things you should consider. And Tyler, could we go over to HDMI 1 and we talk for just a moment about trying to have success in planting? And of course, we are big proponents of 100% organic and made right here in Nashville, Tennessee, Earth Mix Garden Products, where we like to say the success begins at the ground level. And that is so because if you don't prepare your soil properly, you can buy the very best plants, but it makes no sense to do so and to not give them the best opportunity to not just merely survive, but to really thrive and give you the very best performance. And that's what you get when you use Earth Mix Garden Products. And you don't get it with a lot of chemicals, or actually any chemicals at all. It's 100% organic. It's sustainably produced right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So you're getting all the best of all the components, whether it's for shrubs that you're planting using Earth Mix Landscape, for instance, the premium soil conditioner available in the Earth Mix line, or if you're using something like Earth Mix Supernatural, which is the organic compost that so many vegetable gardeners are huge fans are, you can be assured you're going to get the very best, not just in growth performance, but in keeping your plants completely free of chemicals. So what I recommend is going to earthmix.net and click on the Find Earth Mix tab there on the right-hand corner. If you scroll down the page just a bit, you'll see there are a great many of the little pins all around that shows you all the current locations, and you can zoom in Middle Tennessee and you'll see there's a great density of them there. But we're on up into Indiana and Ohio, all over Kentucky, and all across Tennessee. So just remember this, you can get Earth Mix anywhere. Check out their website, earthmix.net, and support your local vendors, independent garden centers that are the sellers and proponents of Earth Mix Garden Products. And then remember, success begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden Products. And appreciate your attention on that for just a moment.
All righty. Bill Hayes has commented on the Facebook page that the production quality is in the stratosphere today. So kudos.
Well,
thanks, Tyler.
At least it's not the ionosphere.
We have a phone call.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
From Rebecca Nolan.
Good morning, boys. This is Rebecca Nolan. David should remember me from a long time ago. He doesn't know you, baby. And I have got some money that I want to spend for my summer garden. Is it too early to start thinking about the herbs and the things that I can grow in shade? Thank you very much, David. Good to see you.
An old girlfriend, eh, Dave?
Yeah, I hope you and Kevin are doing well. And longtime friends, it's not too early if you have sufficient lighting. And I think this is a great segue. Our very own Vanessa Lang just yesterday had a webinar on the use of indoor lighting to enhance your ability to grow. And certainly right there in the studio, we talked about some of the things we've done technically to put this program forth. One of the things we've done is the lighting that we've done in there. And we've used really inexpensive fixtures and LED lighting. And what that does is it enables you to bring in
Josh's true beauty.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, Josh's true beauty. But by using those things, and Tyler's also showing you on the other little screen there what we've done on the opposite end of the studio. But those lights all help add to the not just to the visibility of our program, but they also add a lot to your ability to be able to grow things you would not be able to otherwise indoors. So,
but David, I can't run those lights because they're hard to run, and we can't do anything like that. You have to cut the sheetrock. You have to do all this other stuff, don't you?
Hey, no, you don't. Actually, you could just use a conventional floor lamp, or you can do some things that are like. Maybe use an inexpensive tripod stand to mount a light on. There's all kinds of ways to do it.
They make things called closet rods and hangers and all kinds of
those that we have. We simply have some rafters that go across the ceiling. We've used these little shop lights with a little clamp fixture that you squeeze and they just hold on there by a tension. And you can direct those right over where you're planting. So, that gives you the ability, the big thing that works against planting things now to later transplant outdoors is that there's two things that work against you. One is excessive heat. Contrary to what you might think, you really don't want it to be 70 degrees where these plants are growing. They wouldn't normally, even in the early spring, have temperatures that are that warm around the clock. And that's what you have indoors, is that you have a controlled environment that's warm all the time. So if you have those plants outdoors, and just think of it in terms of that, they're going to go down into the 40s and even in the upper 30s at night, which is what they're accustomed to. So what you really want to have is a cool place where you can control the conditions. You might even put them in the basement or in a garage with the grow lights where that they get enough warmth, but they don't get too warm. Particularly if you're starting from seed. If you've ever germinated things from seed, tomato plants, a lot of people do those. The biggest culprit you have is that you're staying too warm and they germinate and they get tall and spindly. And that is due to two things: too much heat and lack of light. You want to run them very bright and sunny, but you want to run them cool. And if you can do both of those things correctly, you'll have very short, slow growing plants at the outset. And that's what you're going to try to do, Rebecca. And I hope that helps you to kind of get prepared for the season that's coming up, because it's it'll be here before you know it. It's the middle of January already.
Yep. And you don't have the tomato plants yet, so I mean you're gonna and nobody really has any kind of small starts, so you're gonna have to be doing this from seed anyway. But the industrial nature of the styling that is going on right now, if folks wanted to do an area over by that big window, 3/4 inch black iron pipe and a couple of floor flanges on either side of the wall. It's simple. And we'll add it.
And like you said, that industrial look that is fashionable now, it gives you a lot of flexibility of things to work with. And the home stores carry a much more wider line of those kind of things, simply to not so much to cater to people running gas lines so much as there are to constructing things out of black pipe. And that's the pipe you normally see water lines run in. For those who don't understand the difference, is galvanized, and that's the one that looks silver. The black pipe is the one that will rust if you leave it outside. It's also used for a variety of applications, oftentimes including all the various things that people make with them, lamps and furniture, that kind of thing.
Sure thing. But there's no such thing as too small. There's no such thing as too big, because if you just do a little bit of sculpture, David, 90-degree elbows, 45-degree elbows. Again, I mentioned the floor flanges. You can make these as strong as you want them to be, and it's not going to really add up to a whole lot. If you look at what some of those things cost on the internet, you could probably
make them yourself for a fraction. And if you're like me, see, there's no plumbing that is junk.
No,
I save everything now, and I've got boxes full of old plumbing that you take a pipe.
You might need that one day. Yeah.
I will. I know I will, and I invariably do. And so, I've had the good fortune of having like-minded. Some people might call us pack rats, but like-minded individuals who see a future use for things. And I had an uncle and a father-in-law, both named Joe, who were both guys who knew how to do stuff. And so I was the recipient of some of their tools and some of their fittings that others didn't see a use for, and I've used them a whole bunch. But one of the things,
not too many people have a pipe threader at their business, David. Not too many people do.
You might not have a pipe threader, or a reamer, or any of those other things. But you can. If it was important enough to you, you could get it. Before I forget it, Josh, I do want to finish making one point about the lighting, is that the biggest difference now, and this is one of the things that Vanessa covered yesterday. You really should check that out, by the way. Go to our Bates Nursery Botanical Boot Camp area, and it's now archived, so you can go down there and see it. LED lighting has really been a game changer for all of us who are plant aficionados, in that you can have plants in areas affordably that you couldn't have them before, because LED lighting can create brightness in a dark spot. And through the use of timers and all the various controls we have today, you can either, through all your remote control device plugs, or just a regular timer that you have plugged into an outlet, you can control the amount of day length that you give a certain plant. Contrary to what you might believe, giving them 24 hours a day is not better. They don't need 24 hours a day light. If you look at the sun,
it doesn't shine all.
It doesn't shine all 24 hours. It's
on both sides of the planet.
You can actually set things and extend the day length as the sun does. So, if you do those things, the day length is much of what controls how much growth plants, and it's a trigger to plants to say, hey, it's springtime is coming. Now it's time to start putting out that growth. So
or
LED lights give you a great amount of light, and they operate at a fraction of the cost.
That's the plus. Once you get them, and they last a long time. Yeah, and they last a long
time too. So you can have a bulb that puts out a flood lamp like we use there in the studio, 150 or perhaps even 1,000-watt bulb, depending on what you want to put in there. But you can use a 150-watt bulb, and it's using maybe 7 or 8 watts of equivalent incandescent power. So it's really, it's like 5% of the cost per watt for the amount of energy that is required to make that bulb function. So
what are you saying?
Pardon me?
What are you saying?
What am I saying? Yes, what I am saying.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, we're here all week. All righty, folks, 615-499-6690. The neat thing about this, too, is that if you're really handy, you can run your wiring inside the piping.
Oh, absolutely.
We talk about and hide all that stuff. It'd be neat.
Yeah. Hey, let's take just a moment. I already mentioned Bates Nursery Botanical Boot Camp.
Okay.
you can go over to batesnursery.com and check that out. And Tyler does such a wonderful job with all of our various hosts that are giving us all that information regarding every different conceivable gardening situation that you can think of. Matter of fact, we come up with all these gardening segments based on input from people who either read my newsletter or follow us on one of our social medias. They've got a question about something. We will get it out there on the schedule. And what you can do to get information on that, there's the newsletter sign up area right there. Or you can go down further and go to the Base Nursery Botanical Boot Camp, and you can reserve your spot for upcoming lectures. Now, on Wednesday, Austin Lohan is going to talk about demystifying fertilizer. And we have Austin and a lot of other great professionals who are give us all the information. If you see here on the screen, we have a whole list of webinars coming up through the month of January and all through the month of February. And also, we're already scheduled on out through March. So what that means is if you don't see what you're looking for as far as a question you have, you can either suggest that, or you might want to scroll on down further to the bottom and check this area here where you can refresh your knowledge by viewing previously recorded versions of it. And that's where you'll find Vanessa Lang's yesterday. What she talked about was the lighting. So you can see all of that there over at batesnursery.com. And of course, we're all of our various blogs, whether it's our video blogs or it's in the Garden with Bates Nursery, which is the newsletter I write every week. You can, and this, I had a really original title this week. It was called a mid-January newsletter.
Oh.
But talking specifically about indoor gardening, as for those of you who want to get out and experience some beautiful foliage and incredible selection we have at Bates Nursery, we invite you to come on out and see us. We are open today from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. So about an hour after we go off the air this morning, come on out and see us. Check out all we've got. We have that. We have the complete line of Earth Mix products, including Proganics I, which is the professional indoor plant grow mix that we recommend at Base Nursery, and a complete line of every different kind of container, whether it's a composite material or ceramic. We have an incredible selection of those, and we've got more coming in all the time as we roll in to the spring season, which again, not
Just
too far off
around
when you
the
start
corner.
thinking about it. So check us out here online at basenursery.com, or come out and see us. We're conveniently located a mile north, or as Josh says, 9/10 of a mile.
0.9.
For depending on which side of Briley Parkway you exit from, accounts for that extra 1/10 of a mile, by the way.
Well, I only come in one way, so it doesn't matter. So I'm
You
right.
only do, but other people come in from another direction, Josh.
Yeah,
So
I've
I'm just
come
saying.
I've come from the nursery from coming from the west side of town, and it's a little over a mile for me.
So anyway, it could be 1.1 or 1.05. So anyway, we're a mile north of Briley Parkway on the left-hand side, and we're open year-round. This is the only thing we do. We're not we don't do all the other things. We're about plants, and we're about the information it takes to grow the plants, and we're about the actual plants themselves. So I invite you to come out and see us. Check out all the information we have on our website, basenursery.com. And now for 89 years,
89.
beautifying Nashville here in Middle Tennessee, Bates Nursery and Garden Center, and really appreciate your attention and your patronage. We're very fortunate to have a great selection of folks that are kind enough to do business with us. We do thank you for that.
Well, and I tell you what, David, I don't imagine there's a whole lot of garden centers around that are going to be open that have plants that actually have flowers on them. If you will look here in studio this morning, these little guys are stunning, and they've got blooms on them on January the 15th.
Well,
Oh my!
there's just something that feels good about seeing flowers in the middle of the winter. So, whether it's colorful blooms or colorful
And they're kept
foliage.
inside. Tyler was telling me that they're kept inside, and supplies are limited, by the way. So you need to get out here and get one,
Well,
or two, or three, or
they're
five.
not. There's no thing, I guess, in life that is totally unlimited. I mean, so far air is, but yes, to be sure that the plants there are only certain amounts of them. So we want you to check all that out, and nothing else. Get out of the house and just get out and walk around some. It's nice to be able to get out and enjoy some fresh air and not have to be outdoors. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All righty, folks. Well, David, one thing I forgot to mention while we were talking about the tree project that we had at the Proving Grounds was the contractor had insurance, which proved to be yes, he did. And that proved to be a really good thing, because at one point in time during this process, Lolo's up the tree and he's got that beautiful little steel carving knife that, oh man, it's just the coolest little steel tool that only the professional arborist should be using, by the way. A piece of the tree, even with all the preventative things that they have done, a piece of tree took out a 10-foot section of the fencing. Oops.
Well,
and never said a word. Never said a word.
The point you're making is very valid. It's easy to go, well, I got a guy over here. He and his brother-in-law bring their pickup truck over here, and they'll cut it down and they'll haul it off. For half that or less than that or whatever. And there are very well documented cases of trees not going the direction that they were supposed to go.
We've been talking about gravity all this time. It is one of those forces that's unlimited supply. Gravity is in an unlimited supply.
And it's always in the on position.
Yes, and it is not something you can defeat yet.
And once the inertial forces begin to kick in, gravity does the rest of the work, and the tree's going to come down. It's a question of has the physics been done properly to ensure that the tree's going to go in the believed direction. So
swings, momentum, all these other things, potential energy.
That's the reason that you see in professional arborists, they're using boom trucks and that kind of thing to take the tree down from the top down. They're not dropping the whole tree in one swoop like I would have to do it if I was going to do the tree. Right. They go up to the top and start taking it down in chunks and have a crew of guys on the ground pulling the brush out of the way and either putting it into the chipper at that moment or cutting it up into smaller pieces for the homeowner to use for firewood later or for some other purpose.
But as it were, it just so happened that the project manager happened to step outside pretty much after this had happened, and she just gave a derisive look, and never a word was spoken about it, and the fence was completed before they left the project, same day.
Not the first time that's happened to them either.
No, you reckon that's happened to them? Had a fence guy on, and it was put back to hole. No gripes, no anything. Hey, just part of it. Moved on.
And that's what you get when you deal with professionals, is that you get the comfort and the assurance of knowing that if something does go way wrong, that they've got the means to be able to indemnify that loss. And but more likely than not that they have the expertise because they've got an insurance company that believes that they're going to try to do the right thing. So kudos to you guys for making that choice and understanding that sometimes the perception of saving money is actually not saving money at all. It can be quite costly.
Yard Boy made a very good point here. He on the Facebook page, the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates Facebook page, and it's At Home. He don't play that if you're looking for it. And I wish we had thought about this. He said it would have been a great opportunity for a wider gate. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So,
and where a wider gate comes into play is for so many contractors these days have these little stand-on little track machines or skid steer type machines
or aerators.
Where they can drive an aerator through, or they can drive this machine on with a pallet of material on there. And if you're doing things like sodding projects, or you're doing pavers for a
hardscaping, as it were,
a hardscape area, edging, all that kind of stuff. People are really thinking a lot more about what it takes to give access into these increasingly smaller spaces that you still want to do work on. So that certainly is something that's worthwhile for our listeners to be thinking about. I've got this project I'm going to do. It will be worth your time to spend some time thinking about what does it take to get that material in there. I mean, if I don't put a gate in place and make it where you probably actually need, I would say 60 inches, 48 inches. 48 inches is really, although it could mathematically fit through there, if you did it 60 inches wide, it gives you a margin of error, and you won't be unhappy that you allowed yourself that margin.
That's probably going to be really critical when you're talking about what is affectionately referred to as the tall skinnies that are very popular these days in these lot lines. So. You think about where you're going to have to get through. Now there are times when you have to. The air conditioning units are offset, because the houses are so close together. You need to think of what's happening at the back there.
Right. So well, I've got a situation in our backyard that if we were to do extensive work, we would almost have to have a crane to lift up and over, because there just is not enough room. You can't get through there. I mean, so we'd have to tear out part of the existing deck area to create a wide enough path, which likely would occur if we're going to do that. But it is wise to think about what it's going to take to gain access to an area, either after the fact or what it takes to access it for whatever you're doing right now.
Yeah, for the guy that wants to go in there to get the leaves up, and because you're maybe too lazy to go out there and rake them up and bag them up and do all that other stuff. You got to
maybe it's not just laziness. Maybe it's you have some physical infirmities. Some of us are getting older, Josh.
I know that.
Not quite the physical specimens we might once have been. So.
Well, just some of us, I guess. Anyway, laziness is probably a bigger factor in that in a lot of cases.
Well, there's that too.
Time. Come on, folks. I mean, it's a time thing. You're going to get in there and get them going. But
when you're young whippersnappers like Michael and Tyler, those kinds of issues are not, I guess it clearly has to be laziness if they're not willing to do it, because they don't have they can't play the I'm old card and my back's hurting.
Now, I've got a trick knee occasionally. I do have
what
that.
Does it do?
Yeah, really.
It'll make an audible pop, and I can't walk right for about a day.
You walk left?
It's a skateboarding accident from college.
You can only walk left?
Kind of, yeah.
You walk in a circle is what is saying.
Mine pops all the time now, it seems, because I injured it twice in August of last year, and I don't know that it will ever be exactly the same again, but it seems to pop kind of at will anymore. Or at won't, as I would like to say.
But outside of that, I'm more than willing to do whatever work
she tells you to do.
No, I do it on my own.
You do it on your own?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you just blow.
Michael, unlike some of us, Josh, requires no outside input. He is such a self-starter. He is so self-motivated.
Oh, yeah.
He's got nothing.
He's always ahead of the curve.
He was talking about he's got this secret studio room in his household.
It's not a secret studio room. Everyone knows where it is.
I think it's Sam's studio is what I think.
Yeah, it is Sam.
Based on the video I've been seeing coming out of there lately,
Tyler was getting a little ration of crud too this morning. You're talking about certain individuals in the household that might be wondering what they're doing in there all this time.
Well, yeah, I think that Sam's going to probably have a podcast happening within a couple of years.
Most likely. He's already, his two favorite wrestlers are wrestling at the Royal Rumble, and he's pretty pumped about it.
Goldberg, so he's going to do a podcast for 5-year-olds.
Who's next?
And a wrestling podcast. I fully expect it. Matter of fact, he'll be competing.
You get it on middays in a certain radio station, I hear now, for 3 hours. Been kind of that same way for a long time. Oh,
hey, Josh, strangely enough, we're coming up here within about 3 weeks of our 23rd anniversary of doing the at-home show. Now we're also about maybe 6 weeks away from coming up on our first year of doing it in this format, which is
March 14th.
And it has taken us all this time to kind of somewhat get it figured out. So again, kudos to Michael and Tyler for all of the not just the processing power of equipment, but the brain power that they've had to, because there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, so to speak. And so I appreciate their persistence in staying at it and helping us to be able to get a program out there that, could be confused with professional.
Well, it could be. I mean, it could be. But, folks, once again, we talked to you a little bit about it. Their new rules. Our primary place that you're going to see us is on Facebook. But there are some rules changing about these things. You need to follow us. You need to spread that word that the follow button must be hit. I don't think we're going to be going away, but they have these algorithms and they hide things. And I don't know if you've noticed it, that sometimes you don't see a lot of the things that you used to see. And you may have 2,000 friends, but you only see a normal rotation of about 25 or 30.
Right.
Okay.
So you have to kind of go out and explore to find those,
and watch.
But if you will follow us,
okay, and subscribe on the YouTube channel.
Friend us, but follow us. That way you'll get a little reminder notification that we're coming on the air. So, and we do try to be methodical about it. I mean, since we've got to do broadcasting all these years, we have gained an understanding of what the clock is all about. So you'll see us here at 8 a.m. Central Time every Saturday morning. And so we try to be, and we try to get on and get off, which means that we've got about 4 minutes left here.
That's right.
This week's episode.
The podcast as well.
Yeah, you can listen to the podcast as well. You just go to Apple, Google Podcast, or an iHeartRadio.
Now, you were mentioning something that when you get in your car, that there's a new gadget or widget.
Well, it's not a gadget. It's been on the phone for a while. I just now learned how to use it. And David, I don't know if you've used it or not. It's called the Shortcuts app on an iPhone. And you can program different actions to run automatically at certain times of day. So, for instance, when I leave my last store of the day and start heading home, it automatically pulls up maps to tell me the most efficient way home, texts my wife my ETA, and then it plays my favorite podcast or book or whatever it is I'm listening to automatically.
So hence what I was saying
increasingly, that's the way everything is going. Everything is on demand, and whether it's the at-home show or there's some other thing, we are able to, in this day and time, to time shift things to fit our own custom schedule, and no more are we limited to being here. I mean, we're thrilled to have folks join us live every Saturday morning. However, a lot of folks just don't get up at this time. They're not really geared up and ready for this.
That's not new in 25 years, David, either. So I mean, So, but now, if had they been able to listen to the 1999, if you could go back in there and find that February the 4th,
you'd have that nice analog hiss behind it.
Well, we would have. I don't know. It was pretty clean back in those days. I mean, we were broadcasting in stereo. I mean, so.
Josh and I, neither one would have ever believed we would have been on for this long, and I really thought I was just going to be filling in for a few weeks, and somehow it has managed to continue on, and
the longest few weeks of your life.
The main thing is we try to give a little information, and we try to have fun along the way. So we're always glad to have everyone tag along with us on Saturday mornings, and hopefully, whatever input you've got, we're glad to listen to it.
Last two things real quick. Sorry about your Titans, number one. but you called it. The Ravens beat them. Number 2, anyone watch WandaVision on Disney Plus?
Yes.
That was cool, wasn't it?
For those who are fans of old time situation comedies, you need to watch episode 1 of WandaVision, and check out the kitchen, because it's Rob and Laura Petrie's kitchen and their house. This episode 2, that's Darren and Samantha's
Bewitched house.
It is cool. It's not for everybody, but it's very. Go ahead.
We watched News of the World last night, which was I really enjoyed.
Was that good?
And it was good. I mean, I wouldn't call it great, but it certainly is worth a watch. And the young woman who plays the alternate lead, the co-star in it, to Tom Hanks, she's wonderful. Although she doesn't have a lot of lines in it, so to speak, because
kind of the character. Don't give it away.
Yeah, but she's rescued, and she doesn't really speak English, so you ought to check that show out. We really enjoyed it, and with our good friends Walter and Shelley last night. So.
All righty, but yeah, folks, WandaVision is worth a look, particularly if you're a fan of the format.
And real fast, it is a Marvel Comics thing, but it's not all action, boom, boom, boom. It's some kind of mysteries being set up where they're in a weird reality.
Boom, boom. I imagine it's coming.
There's no Transformers involved.
No.
Not on.
There is a robot though. There is a robot.
There is
Vision.
a robot. Vision. But you got to watch it. It's worth a look. Okay, folks. Music means that this Saturday morning traditional program, the At Home Show, is coming to a close. But next Saturday morning from 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, we'll have another show for you. Go out, follow us on Facebook, share, and let everybody know we're here for you. For David Bates and the entire At Home Show crew, my name is Josh Cary. We'll see you right here next Saturday morning.